I ran across an article today in the USA Today regarding the housing market. With the Fed funds rate only going up 0.25 basis points today, they're saying, is the housing crisis nearing an end? Well, we're not really in a crisis, so that's kind of a silly headline. But I think we are hopefully going to be turning the page here shortly. Take a look at this graph that was related to that article. So here they're kind of equating as the interest rates went up, you can see existing home sales went down. But February of 2023, we saw some light at the end of the tunnel. So it looks like we're heading back up. Generally, I look for trends, and for me, a trend would be 3 months of same, similar, or better data. So according to this, we would have 2 months to go before we see an actual trend. Now, one of the cool things about working with a realtor is that we are at the forefront of what is going on. So all the data that's reported, you hear on the news, etc., is always behind us. It's stuff that has went under contract 45, 60, 75 days ago. So when realtors are in the field, they have a much better feel for what's going on than what is necessarily being reflected in the market. So I will share with you real quickly, we're starting to see more multiple offers. Homes are going off the market a little bit quicker than they have been. So far, I would say when we get March's data, which is usually about mid-April, that I think we will see one more month of a trend going in the right direction. So, one more thing for me to share with you real quick is a little anecdote. When I got into the business, it was during the great mortgage meltdown of kind of the 2008 mortgage meltdown era. The sky was falling big time for a couple of years. I remember going to meetings and hearing, speakers talking about and articles in the newspaper and whatnot that home prices crashed so bad in the mortgage meltdown that it would take until 2025, 2030 for people to even get even with what they owed because things fell so far that there was going to be that imbalance. Well, that obviously wasn't true because where I was in the Chicago area at the time, it was about 2013, everything completely changed. So the prognosticators, the media and whatnot tend to do a little bit of sky is falling. But when that happens, just like we had this little banking issue right now that we're kind of still in, people tend to freak out a little bit and they kind of follow the masses. So if you think about like the banking issue, some of these banks are having problems because there was some news media reports that there were some of these issues, which that were realistic in the banks. But everybody's standing in line out front trying to, the bank opens, I need to take all my money out and I'm going to put it somewhere else where I think it's safer. So that just kind of creates a little bit of a problem. So same thing in the housing market. Everybody freaks out about housing. People stop buying housing. Even though there wasn't an issue, guess what? There's going to be an issue now. So this is kind of what I see is I see people sometimes as sheep, some buyers or sellers as sheep. You panic. Even in the good times when we had the posts or the during COVID, everybody wanted to buy. That was like a flock of sheep heading in each direction. Either I'm freaking out and going, oh my gosh, I can't do anything. Or it's like, we all need to buy right now. So I always encourage people, kind of be the pack leader. Lead where you're going. Take into account what you're hearing in the media. Take it with a grain of salt. Do a little bit of research. Make good decisions for yourself. So we've been talking a little bit about housing inventory. Inventory was really tight the last couple of years. Now we have a little bit of an excess of inventory. So we have a number of homes on the market, which is refreshing for buyers. But I do think we're going to be heading back the other way again. So we're going to have things a little bit tight. About 85% of homeowners right now have interest rates below 6%. So there's a lot of folks out there, myself included, that have an interest rate in the 3%, 4%, and they're going to be like, gosh, I kind of want to sell and I'd like to move into something bigger, smaller, whatever it is, but I just don't want to grab that 6 or 7% interest rate. So a lot of those folks are going to stay put and they're not going to sell. People continue moving to Austin. They're still coming. It's slowed down a little bit from where it's been in the past, but they're still coming in. And believe it or not, all this nonsense is going to be behind us in 6 months, a year and a half from now. And then everybody's going to be coming back to Austin again. So it's a very short-term little hiccup that we're in right now. Touching on interest rates real quick, here's predictions from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the Mortgage Bankers Association. I'm more in tune with Freddie and Fannie. I think that's kind of where they're going to be. Right now we're at the end of quarter one, and we're kind of right there in the 6.6 range. So far, it looks like Freddie has it on point. So hopefully we will see very low 6s or high 5s by the time we get to the end of the year. I do think that's very conceivable. Let's dig into pricing real quick. So just to give you an idea of where the market's trending. So this is all last 12 months data. So this is for the Austin Multiple Listing Service. So all of the Austin, Hays, Williamson, Bastrop counties, here's where the average price comes in at. So you can see we've been in a little bit of a fall since about May. Prices have been going down in the entire Austin MLS until we hit March. March isn't done yet. We still have a few days, but I think that number will kind of stay right there. And I think, again, April and May will probably be just at where we're at now or just a little bit above. So I think we're starting to see that nice leveling off in that. So I want to dig into a couple of the surrounding counties a little bit just for some perspective. Here's Williamson County. So you can see Williamson County fell a little bit, not as drastic as the entire Austin MLS. And then they've been kind of bouncing up and down a little bit. So some definite more stability in Williamson County in terms of pricing. So I think we'll continue to see that in Williamson County as well. And here is Hays County. So you can see in Hays County, they had a little bit of a fall, since April, but it's really slowed down and things are really starting to level off in Hays County as well. So I think we're going to see the kind of the collar counties around Travis County really come back first a little bit. Austin prices were a little bit higher, of course, during the pandemic market. So I think Hays and Williamson County, their prices didn't jump quite as much or quite as dramatically. So those are going to probably rebound a little bit quicker before we see that rebound in good old Travis County. All right, last thing I wanted to share with you. This is the active number of listings. I wanted to go back over the last 10 years so you can kind of see. It's always seasonal. March, April, May, that's kind of prime spring market. That's when the bulk of the listings are on, and then they kind of taper off into summer. You get into the fall, they kind of go up a little bit. Then you get in the holidays, they go down a little bit. So that's kind of where we're at. So you can see right now, at the far right of the graph, inventory is falling from where it was. We were at a high peak kind of in this summer and early fall. A lot of homes were on the market, but that number is really starting to change. And the interesting thing about it is that we are now in the spring market and that number is still going down a little bit. So that goes back to what I was saying earlier, that folks are putting the brakes on and selling their houses because of the interest rates and everything that's going on, because they're a little cautious, maybe sheep, I don't know, but they're being a little bit cautious to do that. So this would tell me again that this could be a good time to sell or buy, depending on how comfortable you are with where the market is now. So inventory is starting to go down a little bit. And again, I think that's going to take us into, and if that continues, that's going to take us back into a seller's market. So if you are interested in buying, I would definitely pick up the phone, call your realtor, me, and let's talk a little bit further about it and see if it's the right decision for you to sell or if it's the right decision for you to buy. Have a great week.